everybody, it's Jack from Jack Gately Real Estate and the Online Real Estate Academy. The other day, I made a video about potentially having the buyer side commission being offered as a seller concession in the settlement statement. And I thought that was not my original idea, somebody else's idea, but I thought it was very intriguing. And I was like, can that be done? And I've learned some more information about that. But before we get to that, let's first posit the problem. Let's go back to the videotape from about a week and a half ago. Now, in my experience, seller credits are usually limited to those incidental fees, proration, those types of things. Usually, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, maybe max, in my experience. So having a buyer credit for the whole amount of the buyer side commission, is that done a lot? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not sure. Well, I wasn't sure. I know it's not very common, but is it allowable? And so that's a very interesting question. And I think it could vary with market conditions about whether or not you'd want to do this. In a buyer's market, it'd probably be more common. Which we're not in a buyer's market now, are we? So I asked my buddy Brodney, what do you know about this? And he didn't know, so he connected me with Nick, his mortgage expert. And I'm going to put Nick's contact information below in case you want to contact him. Very knowledgeable. And what it would have taken me like a week to figure out, he found out in like 20 minutes or something like that. So thank you very much, Nick, for doing the research for this video. Grateful to you. And what basically Nick said is that it is allowable. Let's go to the actual Fannie Mae regulations. We're going to answer this question based upon Fannie Mae. VA and FHA might be, they probably are different. We're going to focus on Fannie Mae for this video. And here we are, interested party contributions, IPCs. Fannie Mae has a name for it. By the way, I am no mortgage expert in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not your mortgage officer or your attorney. And if you need mortgage advice or legal advice, go seek a professional in those fields. I'm just trying to figure this out, just like most of you, right? I'm no expert here. Nobody's really an expert because we've never had a situation where offering buyer side commission is optional. But according to these Fannie Mae regulations, and interested party contributions are costs that are normally the responsibility of the property purchaser, that are paid directly or indirectly by someone else who has a financial interest in or can influence the terms of the sale. And the first person they mention, of course, is the seller. And typically those are going to be the $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 seller concession, closing costs type of expenses. But the way I read this regulation, there's nothing that precludes that one of those closing costs couldn't be the buyer side commission. But there's a catch. The total amount of IPCs or seller concessions is capped. And again, these are for Fannie Mae conventional mortgages. I'm assuming that Freddie Mac number or Freddie Mac regulations are probably the same. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe somebody else can look that up. Or if you know, put it in the comments. But there is a limit to the seller concession or IPC limits. And here it is here. It's kind of on a sliding scale based upon your LTV. So it can be as little as 3% if you have a 90% LTV, but it can be up to 9% if you have an LTV of 75% or less. So the more you put down, the larger the seller concession is allowed to be. Let's go to the chalkboard. And again, this is just theoretical, but let's just say we have a $500,000 total. We have a 90% LTV. That means our IPC is capped at 3%. That means we have an allowable IPC of $15,000. Well, let's say that we have $5,000 of that is for your, I'm just going to call it your traditional closing costs. So that helps the buyer with the purchase. And then we have $10,000 of that is the buyer side fee. So that seems feasible, but actual reality, I'm not so sure in the current seller's market that sellers are going to want to do any of that. I'm not convinced about that. In a buyer's market, which we haven't had for quite some time, then I think sellers are going to be a lot more flexible. But it does seem feasible in the right market conditions. Lastly, on a personal note, the vast majority of videos I make on this channel, I am the expert. But now, with this new thing that hasn't gone into effect yet, but probably at the end of the year or something like that, nobody's the expert. Nobody really knows. So I don't know, you don't know, nobody knows. Anybody who tells you that they know, I guarantee you they don't know. Yeah. So it's an adventure where you live in interesting times. In the meantime, I'm Jack Gately from Jack Gately Real Estate and the Online Real Estate Academy. We'll keep you posted.